All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started with the end-of-day webinar for June 7th, 2016. Right, so we had, obviously, the main watch today was HMNY. So let's start with JB's trade idea. This is the one I didn't take, but what a setup. And I mean, just once it broke out from there, it didn't look back. So it was really one of the best calls of the day, if not the best trade of the day. Unfortunately, I missed it. But despite the fact that I missed it, I was still able to put together a pretty decent day over here. So I think the way that we were looking at this one, and the best way to look at it, is kind of on a 1-minute chart in this area right before it broke out. I had the range kind of marked. Remember, I had these lines at 850, and then we had a support line just around 815. So we're kind of playing a range, between 850 and 815. These types of setups are generally a lot easier to get prepared for, to call them out, to get people involved before the move happens, because generally speaking, a nice consolidation like that is an overall bullish setup most of the time. Now, I'm usually very open to bias, and I just trade charts, but in this case, I was really kind of hoping, keyword is hope, that I was really hoping that this was actually going to fail and really break down. Now, example of what I mean by that is exactly what happened here, where it's a good-looking long setup, and I know it's a good-looking long setup. 1350 was holding really well. It looked like it was ready for another push, but once it failed, it really creates a massive short opportunity. So that's kind of what I was thinking back here, a little too early, unfortunately, but JB had the right idea with long 817. His trade was long 817, so basically at the bottom of this range. He was risking off 780, but for me, I play a little tighter than him. If I was going to trade that, I would have been risking off probably 8. I would have given it 15, 20 cents. If it broke 8, I would have said it was done. But either way, a really fantastic call. And even if you don't have the confidence to get in, on dips using the plan. So basically, like what I'm talking about a lot of the time when I say trading a plan, but like playing against the herd. So you might be in a channel like this, right? But instead of buying it at the top of the channel, expecting the breakout, this is where people get stuck, is people buy here at 60, anticipating that it's going to go higher, and then when it doesn't, they sell 30s, and they sell 20s, and 10s, and 15s. So it's easy to get caught in that, right? So the way that I look at it is, I think JB does a similar sort of strategy where he'll buy a dip, we buy dips with a plan. So if the plan is buy 820, risk off 8, then I have to ask myself, what am I comfortable risking? How much am I willing to lose on this setup? And, how good is the setup? And you got to ask yourself a bunch of questions, like, okay, so if I buy 820s and I buy just 300 shares and I'm risking off 8, then I'm risking $60. Well, how's my day going so far? Is $60 going to ruin my day? Is it going to make my day? Is it going to psychologically affect me in a way that I'm not going to be able to trade well for the rest of the day? I try as much as possible to put myself in positions in stocks that leave me emotionless. So I try to put myself in positions that if I stop out, I might be a little disappointed, but I'm not going to be upset. My main thing in trading is trying to trade in Zen. So basically being calm, collective, and logical, and not being emotional in my trading. So in order to be not emotional in your trading, you do have to have a plan in every trade. Okay? So if I know that when I get long, or JB, when he knows that he got long at 817 and he knows that he's risking, say, let's just say for the sake of argument, off 8, if he knows he's risking $100, then he's not going to be shocked or really upset if it stops out, because that was the plan. The plan was, I'm going to risk 100 to make 3 or 4 or 500. And as long as he's risking 100 to make $400 or $500, that makes sense. If it's a high probability setup that works 80% of the time, then you're going to make money over time trading that setup, as long as you do it properly, keep your risk tight, buying at dips instead of chasing stocks, stuff like that. So it makes sense, and sometimes it's hard to do that in the moment. It's kind of hard to, especially for a beginner. And for me, my first 2 years of trading, I did not do this. It wasn't really until I started using moving averages that it gave me the confidence to trade against the herd, buy into selling pressure, and sell into buying pressure. It's a complete opposite of what most new traders do. What most new traders end up doing is they'll end up, unfortunately, a lot of them will end up, buying into tops because they're not confident. They don't have an idea. Like, they don't know that when this pullback's going down that it's going to hold. But, as you can see, this moving average line that we use that you can learn about in our video lesson library is very effective for momentum stocks and finding yourself nice dip buy areas. And, it doesn't work 100% of the time. Of course, nothing does. But, like a good percentage of the time, this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, at least you're only in for a micro loss. If you buy 1060 up here and then covering a 1020, well, ouch, right? But if you pick up 960 on the 9 EMA and then you stop out 940, it's like a 20-cent risk. I keep it even tighter. I probably use like 930 over under. So it really depends on what you're comfortable with, but you got to ask yourself, what are you comfortable risking on every trade? And just make sure you put yourself in a position that you're comfortable with it and that you're prepared for it. And ask yourself, if it stops out, is it going to ruin your day? Is it going to ruin your mental state? Is it going to make you make bad decisions for the rest of the day? So that's a quick little bit about trade planning that I want to kind of just get across is how important it is. One thing about my day today is that every trade I took, I did have a pretty specific plan for it. I knew what I was risking, and obviously not every day I finish green across the board like this. Usually what it looks like is I'll have a few big winners and then a few small, tiny losers. But the key is that the tiny losers are the ones that I took that didn't work out. So 2 or 3 times a day I might do a dip buy like this, and it doesn't work out, and it stops me out for $40 loss, and then I stop out for another $40 loss. But then there's usually 3 or 4 that work that are big winners. So usually what it looks like is like a few $300, $400, $500 symbols, and then down below I have a few $30, $40, $50 losses down here. So ultimately, keeping the losses small and keeping the winners large. One thing that you might find as well with the moving averages is it can help you hold a winner longer. As long as it's in this uptrend, there's no real reason to sell. I mean, I'll always sell partials of my position into big spikes like that, but ultimately I'm going to sell it as soon as the trend is in fact broken. And you can see right here it is broken, and that would have got me out. But once it reclaimed, I might actually get back in again because it's higher lows now and we're looking at a cup and handle setup, right? Yeah, I might be missing out on some money here on HMNY, unfortunately. But for those of you that are wondering about the short wedge pattern, I like it better on the 1-minute chart, but this is a very frequent pattern that we use for shorting, where we call it a short wedge because it's kind of like, it's a bear flag, basically, but it looks like a wedge, like that, triangle, or a bear flag, looks like a flag. But yeah, sort of lower highs, and it's using that 50 EMA as support, and then once it breaks through, usually it's a nice reversal. So HMNY, first of all, the best call of the day, the best trade of the day today, I have to give it to JB. That was a incredible, great consolidation, great setup, all around, a really good setup. But for me, I knew that I'd probably miss it if I didn't get the short I was looking for. But I wasn't actually short in the stock. I was just, I was in for like a few hundred, just very small, but I had no size. I don't take size until I'm sure that we're in a reversal, until I'm sure that my plan's going to work. So the key is, even if I was short, say 3, 4, 500 shares at 830, I'm anticipating the break through 8. I won't add to my position until it breaks down. And if it breaks through 850, I stop out for the $40 or $80 loss, and that's part of my plan. So I'm not worried about it, So I just stopped it out through 50. I knew that I should have been long, but I was stubborn. But there's a reason why JB is the only moderator right now in our room, is because he's a crazy good trader. He's very methodical and he's very precise. He only makes a few calls a day because he only trades the best setups. And since I started trading with JB, I think about 1.5 years ago, I've been a better trader. And just being around people like him is ultimately going to really help with your discipline. And I just admire it. I admire that he can sit all day, and if he finds 3 great setups, he trades them. But if there's only one, then he only trades one. But he doesn't force trades, and he's a good friend of mine, a great trader, and I highly recommend keeping a close eye on JB's calls. His are mostly longs. JB doesn't really short small caps like I do. So I'm kind of more the short guy. Although, as you can see, I do take long positions as well, almost equally as many. But I tend to trade more size on the short side, and I have some really interesting techniques that I use for shorting, and it's always been kind of my niche. Although lately, like I said, we've been using a lot of, like, remember earlier today when we were looking at HMNY, and we saw people kind of buying up here and risking off that level. Well, I do a lot of that stuff where I'm looking at where are people getting long, where are people getting short, and where are they going to stop out. So if you're following the stream, you're going to hear a lot of, my commentary in regards to where I think that emotion is going to set in, where people are going to be stopping out, and how we can take advantage of that emotion. I use that especially on small caps, especially on like really big volume ones that are emotional. Guys, I can't believe I'm sitting here watching this fade after all this today. But yeah, so I think that there's a huge thing to be said about just looking at the psychology of other traders, figure out where they're getting long, where they're getting short, and then we just sort of play off that emotion. So if I see, for example, a bunch of people shorting into this area, which it's a little harder to tell on a stock like HMNY, the thinner ones. But I was watching the tape in here, and I thought that people were shorting that area, thinking that they found a top. And then as soon as it started to hold a higher low, this set up really nice for that high day break. That I wasn't super confident in this one, but I picked it up, I think, just around 13, anticipating that it was going to recover. That was where I made this. That's one of 3 trades I think I made on this for the long side. I was kind of in and out a few times, but that was definitely one of the good ones. And then the short, well, you guys were in on the short, so it was like the idea of there's so many people buying, because it looked good. Like I was saying down here, when it looks good for a long setup and it fails, it really fails hard, So if you're looking at a stock and saying, well, that looks like a great long setup, but it's already up a lot. And you got to think, though, what are those longs going to do when that setup fails? They have no choice but to hit the bid. So when I saw 1420 was actually the main level of interest that I had earlier. So we were looking at 1420 and 1350 as the range here. And of course, everyone's at this point is getting so confident in the stock. Everyone at this point is saying, well, every dip is a buy, so just BTFD, buy the dip. They just get overconfident, and eventually, when it finally flops, it's nasty. So this is what I saw here. I saw first of all 1350 support holding, and this is where you want to be careful not to be shorting into this area. You want to be careful just to, if it breaks down, then just grab the higher low, or the lower high. I mean, if you miss a trade like this, just wait for a bounce and wait for a lower high to get in. But I try not to chase them. For this one, it was a tricky spot, but I think that people, first of all, may have shorted into 1350, which made it a little tricky. I think a lot of people took longs between 1350 and 1380, 90, even 14. I think people were getting long in here, anticipating the next squeeze through 1420. 1420 was the prior top. That was an important level, right? So I think that what I saw was when they cracked 1420, and then there was just no supporting volume, I was really surprised. It broke 1420. And there was just no momentum, follow through, volume, anything on that candle right there. And that's where I started short, really, really small, 300 or 400 shares, I think, at 14.11 was my average price. And then on this bounce here and fail, I added more. So you might be thinking like, well, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Well, to me, 14.13 short, risk off 25. It did a big deep dip here. I think I had 400 to start, and I covered 2 just at like 75 or something to make sure I get paid. And then on the bounce, scaled them all back in and more. I think I ended up with 700. And then once it was confirmed, I covered into a wash. And I think I even added a little bit back on that 13 fail. So that was the one short trade I took. That was almost $900, and it was very low risk. It started as a 413 short. Risk off 25. It started as a $50 risk, and it was a $900 trade. So that's what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for the lowest risk, highest potential reward setups. And for me, I always like to start a little bit small, just so if I'm wrong, because a lot of my ideas are very trivial, like not trivial, but they're just very against the herd. So shorting 413 there, you don't want to have size right there, because if that breaks back out through 30, wow, it's going to really rip, right? So I keep it small until it's confirmed, but that way I'm in. So even if I add some shares short at like 1360, well, my average price is going to be a nice 1380. It's going to keep my average price better, and that's just my way of trading. JB's is a lot different, and a lot of people prefer his, but ultimately together we're quite a team. We're, as far as trading partners goes, I've traded with a lot of people over the years, especially starting trading in my early 20s at a prop firm. I was, in a room with people trading, so we shared a lot of ideas and stuff like that. But JB is one of the most disciplined traders I've ever met. Awesome guy, awesome trader, and highly respect what he does. So, yeah, that was pretty much how the day went for HMNY and for long and short HMNY. For Cali, CALI, this one was interesting. This one was definitely interesting because it did actually trade more than the float. So I really had a feeling that this one could potentially come back for a nice squeeze, but what it did in this one, guys, was the long trade, the $96 long trade you see here. Well, when it failed, and then when it reclaimed $3, that was when it started to do almost 2.5 million. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe we have another float rotation play in our hands here, which would be like awesome. Would allow us, for a possibility to really get in and early and let this one really rip. But I wasn't 100% confident on it. But as soon as it tested 3 over under, it tested over 3, and then when it held 3 that second time, I got long. It almost broke back out, and then it rejected it, so I just ended up taking a small gain of $96 on that. And the short was just on the lower highs down here. I finally got on board with the short at around 87. Just took it through that 9 EMA and rid it out for $200. So nothing big there, but just a couple there. And VLTC I was kind of way too distracted with HMNY to really trade it with any size or do anything with it. But we were watching that 410 over under area, and when it went under and we saw the big offers come in, I was commentating about how they were probably trying to stuff shorts down there. We saw the shorts come in. We were watching the tape. We know how they're going to react when it comes back over 10. So I just took a long there and just took a tiny gain on it, guys. I was too busy with HMNY to really bother with it. So, but I hope the commentary helped explain that one and sort of understand what I'm looking at with those types of trades. So, yeah, I guess just, going forward to, before I talk about what we went into yesterday and just continuing from yesterday's webinar, there are a few new people with us today, and I just wanted to say welcome to our community, welcome to our trading group. I really do think that you're going to find it's a very unique group compared to what else is out there. For a lot of different reasons, besides even just like the daily webinars and the personalized support and stuff like that. But one thing that's really different about us, I think, is the fact that I pretty much know everyone in our group by name, and I work with them strategically to help overcome psychological issues and trading issues that I've been through, that we've all been through. And sometimes you really just need someone to help pick you up or show you what needs to be done to change those habits. It's so often that you might know all the setups. You might know the short wedge, the bear flag, the bull flag. You might know how to play lower high shorts. You might know how to play range shorts like this one here. But there's something psychologically bothering you that's stopping you from executing the trades properly. Either you're afraid of pulling the trigger. Maybe you're afraid to lose money. Maybe you're trading too much size. You're not trading with a plan. There's always a way to fix the problem. So if you're new to the stream today, if you want, fire me a message or fire me an email and just let me know what you think 3 strengths that you have in your trading, 3 weaknesses that you have, and we'll work on a strategy on how to develop and work out the bad stuff and keep you going with the good stuff. All right. I've definitely helped a lot of people get through, certain trading blocks and certain trading habits, and I'm really big on trading psychology because I think it's one of the biggest things. I've known all these setups for years, But if my psychology is not in the right place, if I'm not feeling good about what I'm doing, if I'm not, optimistic about the day, if I'm not feeling positive, progressive, confident, it just ruins the day. You really do you can get down on yourself, and you can really spiral out of control and just get impatient, and it can really affect your trading. So it's super important just to constantly be around a positive group of people who are progressively trying to get better, improve themselves. I mean, we've never had this happen before, but remember the morning rip. For someone to sit around and just be like, oh, miss that trade, like this trade right here, where there was basically no setup, it just ripped. You can't be upset about missing that. If you're just going to sit there and be like, oh, I'm sick because we missed that, what a waste of a day, and just start thinking negatively, we definitely don't want to hear that in the chat room, because what we're doing is, when you're getting upset and negative, we're going forward and making $2,000 days by the end of the day, all right? So if you miss a trade, don't sweat it. Don't get negative, don't get upset. Just remember, we're in a market right now where there are tons of plays. There are more plays, many more to come. So the next thing we did was, we missed the morning trade. There was no real setup, but JB caught this one. It was one of the best setups of the day. Much lower risk than just chasing this off the open, which is totally risky. This one is nice because it's got a consolidation. This got a clear stop. This has a place where you can get in, set your risk, know what you're risking. You can even add to a winner with this one and grab dips on the 9 EMA, and you're golden. So, definitely don't let yourself get negative. Don't feel like you missed a trade and you have to chase it. There's always more, and the market is always open tomorrow. All right. So for those of you guys that are just joining us for the first time today, again, I just wanted to say welcome. Let me know if there's anything that you need from me. I'm always willing to help any time of day or night. It's a very open door policy. I've been through all kinds of different markets. I've traded since 2005. So it's been almost 11 years. I guess it's been 11 years almost, this summer. So I've been through a lot. I've been through the 2008 crash. I've been through algo trading, and I've got quite a packed story that I'll share with you guys sometime over the stream. But okay, so Chris Rambo is wondering if all my trades are on a live account, and that's a good question. And the answer to that question is yes, of course they are. And I don't feel like I have to prove anything to anybody, but there's my executions. There's the routes. These are not demo routes. Those are real routes. I trade live every day. I do not trade a demo account. And these are my executions. A lot of them. Is that good, Chris? People actually watch me trade on the screen. Like, every once in a while, if I think that there's a good learning opportunity where you can, like, where I can make a trade and like have my position summary up and actually show you guys how I'm managing the trade, like I do that every once in a while. And when I'm doing that, you can see my orders hitting the market. You can see, I know there are people out there that do that, Chris, unfortunately, and they give a bad name to those that actually are legit. But yeah, I can assure you that I'm trading a live account every single day. And besides, even if I wasn't, which I am, but even if I wasn't, I'm not really running an alert service here, so it's not like, if I make $2,000 in a day or $100 in a day, I'm just giving you the ideas, the trade ideas. I'm giving you sort of the technical analysis that I use. I'm giving you the tools you need to really plan your own trades and make your own decisions. And what I've found is that people that take the time, just a couple weeks, just to really get a feel for planning your own trades and knowing how to do it, but using my commentary to plan those trades is very, very helpful. And not only that, that means that if I ever stop doing this, you're going to know how to trade. You're not going to rely all the time on someone telling you where to buy and sell. You're going to learn a lot here. In a week or two, you're going to be very surprised. With that being said, I'd love for you to get a good start by checking out the trading webinars. There's a huge, and these guys are actually really valuable. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. This is all accessible with the free trial. There's no limitations to the free trial. You can literally come in for a week, watch every one of these, watch me trade for a week, and then walk away. And you know what? If you do that, and it makes you a better trader, then I'm happy. I don't care. I really don't care about the money right now. We're trying to build a community here. We want it to be the best, most open trading community in the world, and we definitely want you to be a part of it. But if you can just find, the value in this, learn for a week or two with us, get what you need, and then if you leave, that's fine. I don't mind. I really don't. I make my living from trading, not streaming. So if I can help you in any way, that's what I'm here to do. But I hope that you do like our community. I hope you do stay. And I hope we can help you really get to where you want to be in your trading. I think it's just important that everyone has realistic goals. Understand that I've been trading for 10 years, and I do, I put together some really consistent, like one thing you'll notice about me, again, is I don't put together huge days all the time. Like, yeah, today was $2,200, and that's a nice day. But I don't do that every day. A lot of days I'm just making $300 to $500, but it's consistent. It's very consistent. That's the key to me to having longevity in this game, is really the consistency. So I'm not really looking to just try to like take my entire account for try to make $40,000 in a day, because if you stop out twice, if you're wrong twice, the one time that you can't stop yourself from shorting a stock like HMNY and you don't stop out is the last day that you might ever trade. So it's so important, and I just want you guys to be fully aware of how important it is to trade a plan, know your stop, know your trade, and never get in a situation where you're just letting yourself add and add and add to a losing position. First of all, if you're new to the room today, guys, these tips for account building, I have a really nice webinar that you'll find super helpful if you take an hour tonight to watch it. I think it'll get you in the right direction. Just in the members portal here, I put it on the main page here because I think it's one of the most valuable ones we have. So tips for account building right there. Check that out. The learning curve, this is trading psychology. Check that out. And the moving average lesson. These three will really get you in the right direction to start. And then as you go, just keep reaching out to me. Let me know where you need help. Let me know what you want to hear in the webinars. And we'll just start developing you the way we have with the other guys here. So yeah, before we get going, I had a couple quick questions that I wanted to address. So position sizing, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Someone was asking about the platform. This is DAS Pro. It's called the DAS Pro platform. This is it's a professional platform that we use for day trading. Pretty much not all, but a lot of brokers offer it. So Centerpoint Securities, most prop firms offer it. It's very common. Interactive Brokers offers it now, and SureTrader. And there's another one that's very similar called Sterling. So whichever broker you're using, if they either have DAS Pro or Sterling, I would definitely take one of those two. I've used Sterling for years as well, and I love Sterling. Love it. So yeah, whichever broker you're using can set you up with this, hopefully with this platform or something equally as good. If you do have questions about brokers or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. I can discuss options with you, let you know let me know your situation. I'll let you know what I think is the best option. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that's it for today, guys. Was there anything else you wanted me to cover? We do a webinar every day. So every single day at 3:30, I try to record at least 3 of them a week. So those of you guys that are trading part-time have some good material to follow up with if you missed the close or whatever, because a lot of the time we're just focused on trading during the day, and the end-of-day webinars where you're really going to, let it all come together and start to really just understand everything. So I find them really helpful. Yes, it is exhausting to run a webinar every single day, but it's totally worth it when I see the results, that how much it actually helps people. So this one today, I did record it. We'll pop it up on the website for you so you can review it, go over it a few times if you need to, and just sort of take everything in. I recommend that for the videos. I find that if you watch everything in one day, it's too much information overload. So try to watch one video a day, 1 or 2 a day, maybe 2 hours a night, for a week or two, and just let them soak in. Take the time to let your mind process it. If you just binge on them, you might miss a lot of good stuff. So guys, by the way, we are in a smoking market right now. There is tons of opportunity. This is a great time to be trading. So I'm really excited for the way this week is shaping up so far. We're kind of like, we've just been really doing well in 2016 so far, all around. When the market was slow in January, February, March, we slowed it down. We adjusted with it. I was, just averaging like $500 a day consistently, nothing big. And then as soon as the market turned up, I turned up with it. And now we're, aiming for more like 15 to 300, sorry, 1500 to 3000 a day. You know, so whatever the market gives us, so ultimately, I don't have goals or targets. I just take what the market can give me. So that's kind of where we're at right now, guys. We got a lot of low float runners. We got a lot of volume, and we have a ton of opportunity. Just remember, though, the main thing that you're looking to do is protect your account. Second is make money. So first, it's all about low risk setups. Okay, so we're never chasing. We're never over trading. I like to not trade during the lunch period. So on any regular day, I'm gonna say today was the exception because HMNY didn't slow down for lunch. So today was the kind of day where I will trade all day long. But any regular day where it's just a slow lunchtime period, I like to step away. It's, you know, refresh and get something healthy to eat. Step outside for a second, just refresh yourself because you'll do better into the close if you do. Not shorting the front side. Super proud of the way everyone here handled HMNY. No crazy front side blow-ups or shorts, which we've never had that before anyways. But, you know, the one short that I took on this, the $900 short here, was the one time that I felt safe shorting it. And that was because I knew we saw the longs come in and get trapped. And now for once, for the one time in the last 2 days, it was the longs that were trapped instead of the shorts. And it was the perfect time to get in. Unfortunately, due to running the webinar, I did miss the end of day trade, which I do regret because that was a huge move, and I probably could have doubled my day with it, but it's a sacrifice I make sometimes to do this, and I just love it, and you guys have been awesome, so don't worry about that. We'll get them tomorrow. Guys, I hope you have a great night. As always, reach out to me if you need anything. If you enjoyed your first day here, or if you enjoyed the webinar today, please let us know. Fire me a message on Twitter, TSX Trader, let us know you liked it. Let other people know that we exist, you know, so other people can benefit from a fantastic group like we have here. Thanks again, guys. Have a great night. We will see you tomorrow. Cheers.